I've done something that may be construed as a poor financial decision. And in all reality, financially, it is a poor decision. But in my circumstance, it makes sense. And it is something I've been pondering for a while. I kept putting it off. I did read the reviews. I'm looking at people, their reaction. So effectively, I've decided to go with a higher purchase leasing option for a games console. Now, it is it's branded as a great economic way, like or something. It's over exaggerated. It's not a good financial option at all. But some of us don't, in this present moment, have the same options as other people. So, for instance, if you've got, I don't know what it's like in America, for instance, but in the UK, there's some catalogs like Very, for instance. You can buy the product, and you have a credit limit, and you can sort of pay, and you can pay it off weekly, monthly, whatever it is, and you don't pay much more than the listed price. It's a great option if you can have it. Other options, of course, are credit cards and other advanced payment options. But again, not everybody has that option. But even if they do, their credit limit's low. So I'm at a stage in my life where I'm rebuilding my credit rating. So me getting credit, as long as I manage it, will help boost my rating. So these things actually will help as long as you don't default on the payments. On the other side of that, my credit limit at the moment is low. That's what I'm trying to build up. So me, for instance, putting the entire cost of a console or something like that on a credit card would make me lose the entire sum of my credit card, and then it's paying it over a period of time. Now, financially, probably sensible, but I do have other things I do kind of want. Some I need, but there's some other things I want. So anyway, I just want to talk about the cost of this, just to help with transparency here. There will be links in my link tree to this service because I have listed it before. I'm not saying it's great for everyone because I think for the majority of people, if you don't do your research or know why you're doing it, it's not going to prove fruitful. If you like, for instance, if you can wait maybe 6 months, 5 months, however long, and then just buy it outright, great. That's an option. If you can buy it with your salary next month, that's also great. And if you have other options, of course, like I've just discussed. But again, if you're in a situation like me, you don't have quite all those options at the moment. This isn't too bad. Like, for instance, now we can sort of expect things to improve in the future. We can't guarantee it, but I do expect things to improve financially going forward, especially in 2 years' time. So, in the present moment, paying over the odds for something over time would seem stupid. But when you think about like my situation at the moment isn't financially prosperous to the point where I can like treat myself to heavy priced items at once. Now you could say if you can't afford it, you shouldn't have it. That's an option. That's a viable option. Or you could just do what I'm doing and say, look, in 2 years' time, I ain't going to care less how much the item costs. I anticipate just being able to pay for it there and then easy if I want it, or I can return it if I don't care enough. Financial freedom. So anyway, to get that out of the way, let's just get on with the cost now, just to make it understandable and let's be transparent here. So the service called Raylo, I don't know how you pronounce it, and it's promoted actually on Sony's website for the PlayStation. They've come up this way to lease the PlayStation, so you don't have to buy it outright, and that got me curious. And that sent me to Rylo's actually website. And the annoying thing is, it does a soft check. Now I can't say what it's like for everyone else, but for me, all of a sudden, all the listed prices went up by £5 or £6 a month, and I thought, how's this fair? So I open a window without cookies and things. It doesn't know your data, and it will list the original price. Then I log in, and all of a sudden, the price is what it is. And you can't make multiple accounts because it knows you've got multiple accounts. It won't let you do it, so you can't circumvent it. Once they've done a soft check on you, or they've set up a credit allowance, they'll give you a credit limit. In my case, it was £24 a month, and it wouldn't budge, and all the prices went up. So, for instance, I missed out on a PS5 Pro because, as you can see here, I don't know if you can actually see it, it's £18.49. By the time I was doing it, it was at £26 something, and I was only allowed 24. There was no wiggle room. And that was really frustrating because other people will have access to it at a good price. Now, if you can get it at these prices, it even makes even more sense to consider it. So I'm going to try and just show roughly. So effectively, when I was looking, it was mainly PlayStations. I think they started to add the Nintendo Switch OLED. Again, that's saying 9. Mine's about 15 if I want it. If you want it over a shorter term, it's going to be 20 quid a month. So that all of a sudden you start going, that's an item I can really probably buy whenever I want if I want another one in the future. And again, there are always these different variants of the PlayStation. But I got bored of the PlayStation. I think it's ugly. I think it's huge. Um, and to be honest, I don't want to keep hemorrhaging on the price of games. Whereas I wanted an Xbox for various reasons. I've got a gaming PC. I mean, gaming laptop. I intend to build a PC again later in the year, hopefully. It's a huge sum. This is why I don't want to pay for an Xbox Series X or anything outright, because if I'm going to do that, then there's always reasons not to, because then I'll do the other thing. But if I can have these in unison, that can work out quite a good deal for me. So, like I say, it was only shown at PlayStations, and I thought, oh. And in the UK, Xbox Series X, you cannot buy, that I've found anywhere, you cannot buy brand new Xbox Series X. So that all of a sudden inflates the prices anyway. So I'm looking at used Series X's, and there's some of them are scratched, they're not really treated very well. And that just makes it more desirable, because you're thinking, if this one is in good condition, because it ain't brand new, you just can't get them. They can't even list them brand new. These are refurbished. So this is someone who's previously had it rental, and they've returned it for whatever reason, and then they're redistributing it. So it's a really weird system. So their new prices are very similar to refurbished anyway. But like I said, there's no new option for the Series X. Now, we could go on the whole tangent of why would you want an Xbox Series X when a lot of the Xbox games are switching over to PlayStation anyway. It's making it pointless. It's actually not pointless, because when I had my PlayStation, Sea of Thieves come over to PlayStation. I bought Sea of Thieves when it was on sale. Not sure if it cost me £30 or £40. But either way, that's a lot of money for every Xbox game that's on Game Pass. And at launch, I think they're probably going to be about £50, £60. So, you can sit there all day and say, oh, that's available on PlayStation now. Well, it's also available on my PC. But I'm already subscribing to Game Pass because I have a PC, like a PC platform. And, like, for instance, where I am, my room gets really hot in the summer. Like, it's unbearable. I can't sit here. So as much as I would love to just have this and not need anything else, I cannot sit here in the heat. So I have to be able to sit in the living room where it's cooler, it's shadier. And I do like having a games console. So what do I want? Do I want a PlayStation where I'm going to have to hemorrhage more money, have to buy other memberships? The costs add up. Like, if you look at the price of Game Pass at the moment, Ultimate, it's £15 a month. And when you don't pay, you lose access to the service anyway. And that's just games. It's not hardware, that's just games. But it does cloud gaming. There's so many features with it, it's great. But anyway, if anything, it's just a service. Now, I can't help but think about the cost of takeaways as well. So, like, I could sort of go, oh, this isn't a good deal. And then I could treat myself to an excessive amount of takeaways. But maybe one of the takeaway moments, you think, I'm just going to cook. I'm going to go prepare a meal instead. I've just saved £15, £20. Well, that's the price of the console anyway. So I'm not being naive, but it's putting a bit more reality on it and saying, look, okay, this company's going to make money out of me. They're going to make profit, of course. But sometimes you just got to allow that. Like, does it work for me though? I can't worry about the money someone else is making out of it. How does it work for me? So here it is. It's the only option they have, refurbished only. That's it. You can get the Series S, but they're rubbish. I've had a Series S before. I only want a Series X. I'm fed up with the PlayStations at this point. I've exhausted the games. I just want access to Game Pass, but natively, because I've got a 1X for my daughter. The hard drive runs slow. I was going to put a new SSD in it. By the time you mess about with all that, you're thinking, why not have the latest console where it runs natively powerful? It has the cloud features just like everything else. But this may very well be the last powerful games console from Xbox at this rate, because the reason they're not for sale anymore is because, from my understanding, they're using all the chips that would go into these Xboxes for the cloud service, because they're heavily promoting that and building that infrastructure at the detriment of home consoles. So this could very well be the last home console. And maybe in a few years' time, we might look and think, oh, I want the Xbox Series X. But now all of a sudden, they're all just scratched, used ones, So that's what I'm thinking. I want it now. Like, I want that. So if we do the maths, it's £19.55. Let me see if I can zoom in. And I was hesitant. Like I said, if you did before the soft checks, that was £15, £14.99 for 2 years. And I'm like, oh, that's only a £5 more, really. The other deals were a bit more for different variations of consoles. But for the Series X, but the fact it's refurbished is a bit annoying. But as long as it's in good condition, I expect it to be in great condition. I've got spare controllers. So if you do the maths on it, it's going to be expensive. 1955 times 24. All of a sudden, we're at £470. So that means by the time I finish paying this thing off, £470. An Xbox Series X is £470 new. But they're not available new. You can't even buy it. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, that's what it's going to be, and then it may very well be almost paying double to keep it. Now, unlikely. I think it's unlikely you pay the exact price of a brand new machine, especially when it's refurbished to begin with. In 2 years' time, the value is going to depreciate anyway, but we'll see. Now, other services may add interest anyway. Maybe not to the same degree, but it's an option. This comes with a warranty, so if anything goes wrong, they have to repair it and all these sort of things. If they do, who knows how strong that service is. But in my head, this is how I'm working it. If I wait for a Series X to be available in the stores, I don't know when that's going to happen. And like I said, there's so many freaking abused versions of the console. I don't want one that's scratched and not looked after. So if this is as good as new, if it arrives as good as new, and it's treated well by me, then it's as good as new to me. So then, yeah, okay. You know, at the end of its life, let's say it's 470. Let's say I have to pay an extra £300 on top. Well, then so be it. I mean, in 2 years' time, 300. I'm anticipating 200. Now, I might be wrong because who knows where life takes you. But £300 might not be too much of an obstacle anyway. So maybe you just pay it and just get on with it. You know, it's just that rare instance where the Series X just isn't available. It's just that's what's pushed me over the edge. And the way I see it is, for instance, like I said, I intend to build a new PC. It's going to cost me about £1,500. I'm not obviously doing that now, but I'd like to be able to do that at some point. There's other things I want. I've got to get my credit card paid down. It's not a huge credit limit, but let's get that sorted out. So me putting a huge expense on one of those, it just causes a heavy burden in the short term. When I don't really have the expense for that, but I can afford £20. Like I said, the Game Pass costs 15 anyway. So people could think that's reckless, and in some ways it is reckless. But think, what else would you spend £20 on? A lot of time we just throw it away on crap. You could end up with like multiple streaming services like Amazon Prime, Netflix, Disney. You may only watch one of them a month. You've just lost 2 of those months. You've just lost 2 apps you haven't even touched. That's the cost of the Xbox anyway. So this is how I'm justifying it. Now, I'm not trying to rationalize it naively. I'm just justifying it to myself and saying, can you pay that and feel that's fair, even though you don't own it at the end? Yeah, because I'll just buy it at the end if I really want it, or they can have it back because I don't care, and I'll be on to the next console. So we'll see how it plays out. This isn't, like I said, this isn't going to work for everyone, and it's not an ideal option because, like I said, if you had other options, you will own it by the end of your payments. The way I'm looking at this, though, is it's not like I'm trying to manipulate my mind. I'm just understanding it. The way I look at this is, I'm going to pay $19.55 while finances are a little bit tighter. You can have it now. You don't miss out. By the time we get further in its life, it might be really hard to get hold of it, just like it's getting hard now. And then the way I see it is you just pay a lump sum at the end if you want to keep it. Okay. If that's the option, that's the option. And that's how I'm doing it. So, yeah, like I said, not ideal. But I'm just despondent with the new Nintendo Switch 2, to be honest. That's part of what triggered me. Because I'm already paying for Game Pass. Like I said, I can go £5 a month cheaper, but doing PC only. But then it's like for £5 more, you have access to all of it. The cloud gaming, you can play it on a console. Okay, so then why don't I just pay the £20 a month, have the Series X console, and just be done with it? All in all, it's only costing you £35 a month for Game Pass Ultimate, which I can play everything. And then I've got a console and don't have to keep hemorrhaging on games. And if I had a PlayStation, for instance, all of a sudden I've got to keep buying the bloody games. Of course, they have their own service, but to each their own. So anyway, this come up, and it told me, this is interesting, because you don't get told these things totally. It's nice they explain it, because there's a lot of reviews out there mis-explaining things, making it sound like you're not informed. I mean, I'm taking screenshots just in case they change policies, because this is what it should be. So we've got end of lease options from the 20th of March 2027. Now, I'm wondering if my finances improve to a point where I can just pay it all up. I'm wondering if there's a way for me to contact them and say, look, what would it cost to stop the monthly payments and just own it outright? I'm sure there'll be an early termination fee or something on top, but overall it might work out cheaper. We'll see how it plays out, But at the moment, I'm just interested in £20 a month, $19.55. It's manageable. I can handle that. So anyway, at the end of this, it says continue on monthly rolling. That makes no sense. You're just hemorrhaging money for the rest of your life for something that's out of date. In 2 years' time, that'd be stupid. You can upgrade. So this is another path. Now, it's perceived as a good way, but let's be honest. If you had owned it at the end, you could have sold it and you'd have reaped some of the money back. So then you go towards the new device. So they act like it's like a free upgrade. It's not. You've lost the item, but it's part of leasing. But effectively, you can return it and then you can upgrade. So let's say a new Xbox comes out. That's an option, isn't it? You can just return this one and then you can apply for the other one. And because your credit should be better by then and you have a proven track record of paying on time, you should get the lower rate anyway. So it might very well turn out that for the next console that's maybe worth more money, it's a very similar rate as this one. Who knows? Hypotheticals, of course. You can cancel it and just return the item, have nothing to show for it. But by 2 years' time, maybe you're fed up with the console anyway. So, I'm not going to think too much about it. I'll just decide toward that. If I really want to keep it and my money's improving, I can buy it out, but hopefully sooner. Otherwise, I can make a decision at the end. It says here, purchase, pay to own your device. Your purchase price will be available in your account from the 20th of March 2027. Now, me personally, I think a price of about £300 is probably fair in 2 years' time. That means it's cost, if we do the maths there, it's a £470 item that eventually, let's say it's £300 on top. 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe it's because you're 770 quid for a £470 console. Maybe because you're £300 more. Okay, but you're getting it on finance. It's credit, isn't it? So you're gonna pay something extra, even if it's like 150. So it's not like crazy amount more. But that's hypotheticals. If they try going higher than that, I would argue that's crazy, considering how old it is, the fact that it was refurbished to begin with. But again, if they play silly things, I'll just end up just returning the console. I'm not treating it like I'm renting to buy. I'm just treating it like for £20 a month, I have access to this console. And at some point, you might get it at a reduced price at the end because it's not worth so much. But we'll see how it all plays out, But it is transparent. It's telling me when the contract ends. There's a cancel option here. We've got an upgrade here. And continue here. And it all presses buttons here. I don't know if they're reactive, but I'm not going to do it because I only just started the lease. And effectively, as soon as it's dispatched, you've then got 14 days to pay it. So my first payment is the 22nd of April, which is fair. It should be arriving tomorrow. Now, the one thing I'm going to obviously want is make sure it's in good condition. If it's got scratches and shit, it's just going to go back. Because that was the whole point in the first place, is that I get one that's almost like new. And I can just treat it like new. And then I'll have it. Now, like I said, financially, if we're going to talk economics, you're probably thinking that's ridiculous. But like I said, not everybody can go and buy things outright. So is £20 affordable to you? Like, to me, that's affordable. I can pay £20. So what options do you have? Like, I don't have many other options. At £20 a month, I don't have options. It's not like it's a necessity, but it's like, why wait? It's not going anywhere. And it's getting really hard to find these consoles right now. And like I said, for me personally, with the way Game Pass is at the moment, it just naturally, it just connects. I'm already paying for Game Pass. So where I said, it costs £35 overall, 20 for the console, 15 for Game Pass. But I'm already paying the 15. So if I've got no console, I'm still paying it. So it's only costing me £20 a month, and then I have full access to the whole range of features of the console, backwards compatibility. I can start collecting some of the older games again. And I say this is a console I expect to last a while. And later on, I don't think I'll have a problem paying the £300 at the end. I think people go in with the assumption that your lease is the money you pay towards the lease, the rental, negates some of the final price. And I'm going in understanding that's not the case at all. It's just what is the console worth at the end is what they'll charge you for it. And my opinion is it's going to range from 300 to full price. If they try full price, that's just stupid. May as well return it at that point and just buy the latest console, I know. If that's the only option they're going to give me. We'll see how it plays out at the end. But I would like to think they'll be reasonable. I don't really want to return it because I've heard some bad things where if you return something, they'll say there was an issue with it even though they weren't. So you might send it back perfect and all of a sudden they say it's damaged. I don't really trust that. So let's say they do that and they say you owe us £120 for the damage. I don't really trust that at all. So I'd rather pay £300 to keep it knowing I get it. Imagine going against that, paying them £120 for damage that wasn't there and you still don't have it. You might as well just keep it. So I'm going in with the understanding it's cost me £20 a month and maybe it'll cost me £300 at the very end of the contract, and so be it. Like I said, it's probably poor economics, but some of us don't have the luxury of paying for it outright. I'm not saying it wouldn't be possible. In 3 months, maybe I could just go out in the shop and buy it. But then in 3 months, I could have maybe a third towards the money I want to build my gaming PC, which I really do want to build. So I'm not going to notice £20 that much. Like I said, if I'm thinking about getting a McDonald's or something, I can go, you know what? Do you really need that today? No, not really. Well, let's just go and do dinner. Now, it hasn't cost barely anything, so that it's made that cost up. It's sometimes it's just like, just change one little thing in your life and you can have it. It doesn't have to be that deep. Um, I think some people just go too mental over the value of something and then they just like hold themselves back. And sometimes it's a case of, you know what, I know what I'm doing going into it. Um, I wouldn't do it for other items, like for instance, a Switch. A Nintendo Switch right now, the OLED is dropping because of the price of the Switch 2 coming out. OLED on Amazon has just dropped about £250. So I think renting a console that's only £250 rather than one that's nearly 500, it's a lot easier to save and buy the £250 console, isn't it? And weirdly enough, the monthly payments weren't that far off the Xbox Series X, and I looked at it and just thought, you're nuts. I think it was actually closer to the PlayStation, actually. You could have a PS5, and I thought that's just crazy. You might as well get a PS5 at that point. Yeah. But like I say, you haven't got any options with the Xbox because literally it's the only one there. You've got all these other options with the PlayStation's digital version, the normal version, the Pro. They've even got the original, and most of these are slim, but they've even got the original console somewhere. They've got one with extra controllers, one with games. Price obviously goes up to match that, but it really depends on what you want. Like I said, I just wanted the Xbox, and I was getting frustrated. There was no Xboxes apart from the Series S. I've had one of them. I sent it back. I didn't like it ages ago. Um, so as soon as the Xbox Series X come on, I was like, I want that because that's going to sell out. Because it's literally, they're not going to have that many in stock. I'll be surprised if it's still there now because mine's already been dispatched, fortunately. Like I said, as long as it's not scratched. But anyway, that's where I'm up to. I know if we talk economics, you're going to say it's stupid, and I get it. I don't regret it because, to be honest, I've been thinking about this for well over a month. I've been playing with it so many times. I was like, do you really want these? I didn't really want the PlayStation. Every time I thought about getting it, I can't bother because I don't want to pay all the memberships again. I don't want to pay all this crap. I have most of the games on PC anyway, like the PlayStation ones. And I just wanted access to Game Pass, to be honest, because my One X is running slow. Now, I know an SSD upgrade will be fine, but you still find yourself like limited to a point because you can't natively play the games, a lot of the latest games, without the cloud. Now, the cloud's great, but it's something beautiful just about the graphics and everything being native and the raw power of the machine and things. I just thought, I'd just rather get that console again. I had one ages ago. Stupid me, sold it. I've sold a lot of consoles over time. So, yeah. But this was just a decision I made because it's, like I say, I think £20 affordable. To me, it's affordable. It's not breaking the bank. It's not a crazy amount of money, is it, really? I mean, it's not, really. It's not, is it? But, we can sit there and wonder, should I buy this game, buy that game? Don't need half this shit. Half the time we spend money on crap anyway. So it's just £20 that would have gone on something else that's useless. And I recognise that, okay, it's not contributing towards me owning the console. But again, it's rebuilding my credit as well. So there's it works. But like I say, there is a link in my link tree. I'm not endorsing it, saying do this, do that, because like I said, I think user case scenarios are going to be unique to each individual. You just have to go in understanding that every payment you make is not paying towards you owning it. It's just covering the cost of your rental. And then there'll be a period in the future when the contract's up. So you can do it over 1 month. But the shorter term, the higher the cost monthly. That's what it is. I wouldn't really suggest doing the longest term because you're just hemorrhaging money on a long-term basis just because the monthly payments are... I would rather do it over a period where I think, when would I be able to buy this outright? Even if it cost me a little bit more per month, when would I be able to afford to buy this outright? So let's just do it till then, and then I'll just buy it. I would rather have done it over 12 months, but they didn't give me that option because the credit limit went slightly over it, I think. So I had to do 2 years. I didn't want to do 2 years. I'd rather pay an extra £4 a month or £5, whatever it is, and just to be able to do it in a year's time, then see how much it's worth, and then deal with it. Because I'm no doubt in 6 months I'll be able to buy it anyway. But I don't. 6 months time, we're back to winter, autumn. I can sit and play my gaming stuff on a PC again. It's literally about 4 months of the year. I just need to be able to have this, and it'd be nice to have the option round the year anyway. Anyway, like I said, user case scenario for most everybody else. The rarity of the Series X, the fact that it has Game Pass, I think is a no brainer for me personally. I go PlayStation. Let's say I want to play Call of Duty. It's going to cost me 50, 60 quid to play Call of Duty. I get the Xbox Series X. I'm already paying for Game Pass. It's part of the Game Pass. Boom. I just plug it in, log into my account, access to all these games, and they're huge games. So I don't actually have to buy extra games if I don't want to, but I'll look to collect some of the cheaper ones. I don't even know if I bother. We'll see. But that's where you're making the money up, in the savings for games.